Hello, it's Tishy and me, and we are ready for our book study tonight, Rise of the False Gods, Transformation through Illumination, and we are currently working on Where There Is No Vision. This is part 2. I'm just going to push this back a little bit because it's too close. There we go. Tishy knew it was time, and she came out and she bugged me until I said, okay, let's get it done. As the book is going on, I'm realizing how important a lot of this material is. Really asking you to try to absorb it. Do feel free to go back to YouTube and review topics that we've talked about in the past. And I invite you to relate what's going on all around us, whether it's coronavirus issues, our government issues, family issues, issues on the job, and see how they are all related to and affected by either our illumination or by our ignorance. Okay, also remember, love your comments and questions, so do feel free to put them on. If I don't see them tonight, I will try to answer them in the comment thread later, and you'll be notified that I responded to your question. Okay, so tonight we are going to continue, as I said, with Where There Is No Vision, and we're starting at the top of page 135. I wanted to talk about something before that, and I don't know, do you find that there are times when you feel very frustrated or fearful based on the things we hear on the news? I mean, the reports of, coronavirus missing, not showing up, not getting enough doses, what's going to go on with, oh God, everything else in our world. But I invite you to really lock into the awareness of the fact that it is all about consciousness, and align your consciousness to what you are learning. You want to be higher in the intuitive sensing realm of consciousness, not the human thought process and human emotions. Because the human thought process and human emotions, the lower, what's called carnal nature, called the sensual nature, that is what we are trying to transform and overcome. So try to rise above it. A lot of what we hear on the news, the information is coming at the knee-jerk reaction to what is going on. Does that mean it's not important? Heck no, it is very important. But we have to learn to look at it from the perspective, the viewpoint of higher consciousness. Albert Einstein said you cannot solve a problem at the level it was created. It was created in lower consciousness. We must rise above it. And so I invite you to think on these things. So I'm going to have a little bit of what I consider good or enlightening news. And it's not news at all. It's like the things you don't hear about. Like we can hear about all the things we have to be fearful for and about, but we don't hear a lot about what we can be grateful for and thinking about, and our focus has been so honed in on human wants, human needs, rather than universal purposes. So it's been that to the point that we've forgotten the higher exists, and nobody tells us about some of the good stuff. So the first thing I want to talk about is something I think I accidentally found it on the news, and it is a group called problem solvers. And it is A, problem solvers and Senate unveil. Okay, this is a group. I'm trying to find the right little, hang on, I'm going through the intros to find the right one. Okay, about the caucus. This is the Problem Solvers Caucus. And it is, beginning in 2017, the Problem Solvers Caucus became an independent, member-driven group in Congress, okay? They are comprised of representatives from across the country, equally divided between Democrats and Republicans, committed to finding common ground on many of the key issues facing the nation. So it is co-chaired by Representative Josh Gothamer and Republican Representative Tom Reed from New York. So one is from New Jersey, the other from New York. The aim of the caucus is to create a durable bloc that champions ideas that appeal to the broad spectrum of the American people. It's a group united in the idea that there are common sense solutions to many of the country's biggest challenges. Only when we work together as Americans can we successfully break through the gridlock of today's politics. Isn't that great to know that there are, I hate it when everybody says, politicians are all liars, oh, they're all crooks, all they're blah, 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 blah. You know what? There are good politicians out there that are working for the good of the people, that are called there by their spirit. You know how we've talked before about the passage in Scripture that said, "For this I have been born, for this I have come." And though there are the politicians that for this they were born, and for this they have come. And they are operating in the higher realm of consciousness, or middle, or whatever. They may not be, way up there yet, but they're definitely working on it because they understand we have to do it together. Now, I'm going to just go to another quick page of information on what they do because I thought it was important. Hold on a sec. Okay. Is this the page? In the news, that's not what I wanted. I wanted projects, and I'm not finding it. Hold on a sec. Well, I guess I can't find it. Accomplishments through the 116th Congress. Okay. All right, this is all little print that I'm not, it's all things that we're working on in our government. I might be looking at the wrong one. Here's the other one. This is called Issue 1, okay? And Issue 1 is a cross-partisan. So they're not even just talking Democrats and Republicans, they're talking independents and, all people involved in politics to find better outcomes. And these are some of their projects. Addressing the national security emergency that is foreign interference in our elections. Rebuilding the Congress initiative in helping Congress once again fulfill its constitutional role. Cross-partisan civic innovation. A deep dive into political reform with a conservative lens. A first-of-its-kind digital publication called The Fulcrum, dedicated to democracy reform. And Coordination Watch, how candidates and outside groups work together to evade anti-corruption laws. So we want to know how those things come up so we can solve them. So those are Oh, and here's FECMIA, spotlighting the missing in action Federal Election Commission, our nation's broken election watchdog. There are people out there that are trying to get where we need to be, not by looking at the lower, but by looking at the higher, looking for the good of the whole. It's another thing I was thinking about today with my self-isolation and, masking and all the things that I believe we need to be doing to stop the coronavirus. I don't want to get COVID, so surely I wear my mask, I stay isolated, but it's even bigger than that. I don't want to be someone that is taking up our valuable medical resources. We need them for everybody. So it works in every way. So we have to have a vision of a better world, and we're going to manifest that through the upper level of consciousness. And that's what we have to be looking at. Okay, so, 12 minutes and I haven't gotten to page 1 yet. All right, let's see what we can get done tonight with old yappy mouth going. Okay, this is about the creative process and how it works. It says, once we receive a divine idea from divine mind, it's our current state of awareness, informed by our vision with the help of our faculty of imagination. If we are to move forward, it's necessary to conceive a greater vision. We have to conceive that vision, and then we have to nurture it and focus on it, and don't allow ourselves to be dragged down by the circumstances that are around us, and not to be dragged down by others who are trying to pull us down, okay? They're going to come and they're going to say, oh my God, I had a friend one time, and I do love her. But every time you'd call, she'd call up, she'd go, oh, you'll never believe it. Oh my gosh, it was something awful all the time. And that's what happens in our world today. And yes, it's there, and yes, it's awful, but we can practice using our spiritual strength by not listening and engaging. Yes, we listen, we hear, we accept, and then we work to shift that consciousness up higher. I'm sorry, Tishy is being very vocal tonight. I don't know what's up with her, but I'm not going to bed yet, and there's nothing I can do but lock her in the bathroom, and I don't want to do that. So please forgive me and accept my darling kitty's howling. She's a very vocal cat. Part Siamese, I think. Okay, let's go back to where we were. If we are to move forward, it's necessary to conceive a greater vision. The challenge is those who, for whatever reasons, cannot or will not perceive another way. They are the doomsday speakers. They are the naysayers. They are the ones that are saying it can't be done. But thank God, while they're saying it, somebody else is doing it. They fall deaf to the message and consciously choose to chase self-satisfaction, money, power, the direction of ego. Therefore, people will continue to perish in vain. And right now, with the coronavirus, that is the big thing. It's not so much that people are perishing, it's that they are perishing in vain. The scripture that I noted earlier says, hang on a minute. But he that keepeth the law, happy is he. All right, so when we hear about the awful things that are going on, we have to take a deep breath and know that regardless of what appearances are, good will come. that good is going to come out of this. And the more painful the circumstances, the more we are being told we need to correct this. We need to redirect this and change it. So let us take that suffering as a symptom of a dis-ease that we want to work to cure. That is something we all can do. We can live every day aligned with principle. That's why you're paying attention to this book. You're learning about how to align with principle. Little simple tips. Oh, they're simple. That doesn't mean they're easy. We set forth causes with faith. They will bring desired results. I want to go back briefly to the issue 1. One of the things they are working on is getting the money out of politics. The big money, the overturning Citizens United. Now, if you recall, that was something that I said earlier that I thought was really important because good candidates were not able to present because they ran out of money. They weren't well known enough. Now, I know there has to be some money in there, but if we align ourselves with someone who is doing the work. So I said that I wanted to be aligned with something as soon as we get through this election thing. I want to align with some of the changes I want to see made, and I hope you do too. And you pick the group that speaks to you, that tells you, and what I love is bipartisan, cross-partisan. Folks, we got to do it together. We are all in this together. And yes, Cheryl, the money needed is gross. It's gross, and it's unnecessary to spend that much. We need to have our candidates on an even playing field. Now, that's going to be tricky because it's trickier than we think it is. We want to give fair shakes, but like, you know what, I don't want it so free and open that just anybody can go up and, shall I say, apply for the position. We have to have the education, the information, the experience. Would you go apply for a job as a brain surgeon, for God's sake? And any hospital that would hire you would have to be crazy. Okay, so we follow the call, just like those people followed the call, to do something to lift up our eyes, to lift up our minds and our hearts and our ears to hear the voice of Spirit. We cannot hear the voice of Spirit. We're all tied up in the cacophony of human thought and predictions and opinions and fake news and conspiracy theories. Conspiracy theories, if they're, they say there's 7 levels to heaven. Well, let's say that's higher consciousness, and then there's 7 levels perhaps to hell, which is lower consciousness. Hell being the worst and lowest state of completely powerless lack and limitation, all right? And that's where conspiracy theories live, because people just hear whatever directly hits their nerve and stick with it because they have an illusion that that there's something to fix it. Whereas fixing it, first of all, you fix it yourself. And it all begins, like we said earlier, in the mind. It's all in your mind. So we have to lift our thoughts from the lower carnal level of thought processes and emotions to a higher spiritual, intuitive, and sensing level. This is where there are visions, perceptions. Charles Fillmore said that faith is the perceiving power of the mind linked with the ability to shape substance. Linked with the ability to shape substance. Substance is like it's unseen, it's energy, but as we hold a thought and connect it to emotion, it is, they say it nucleates. This is a term of physics. that the thought and the emotion that's attached to it nucleates and attracts like energy to it, and that's how manifestation occurs. Okay. And, so back to where I was. I'm never going to get off the first page. When I talked about, I said it, that I wanted to be connected to, something to stop the abuse of money in politics and to provide even chances for all worthy candidates, all qualified candidates. This is huge. Qualified. We are in such a mess right now because there are so many unqualified, what do they call that? Cronies. It's cronyism. So it's friends and family, nepotism, plugged into positions as a transactional type of government as opposed to a transformational government. We want a transformational life. We want a transformational family. We want a transformational job. We want a transformational government. And where does that transformation come through? Illumination, learning, lifting up your eyes. How many times did Jesus say in the Bible, lift up your eyes, look away from this world of appearances and look for that vision? And where do you get that vision? By training yourself to look away, look higher than. When you look to cause, my friends, you are looking higher than. You are looking at a different level that Einstein said that's where the problems get solved, not at the level they were created. We have to stand far enough away and look. And you know what? What is happening here in this historic moment of crisis and insanity in our world, and then the coronavirus? I mean, people are going to look at that 40 and 50 years from now, and they're going to see it as it really is. They're going to see it the way many of us see it. Why? Because we are learning to lift up our minds and lift up our hearts to higher consciousness so we can receive those visions. You know, that's where the solutions are. I think about the amazing solutions, the ones I talked about yesterday with the store for kids in school and the kids doing janitorial tasks in a school to help the school to grow and prosper and to teach the children a work ethic. Man, they need all this stuff, and a lot of people don't have that today. I look at the businesses, the small businesses that are finding a way to make it work. Like Tim Gunn says, make it work. There is a YouTube channel, which I haven't looked at yet, but I will someday. And it is Depression Food Cooking. Boy, she really wants my attention tonight. I apologize. Tishy, cut it out. You want to go put in the other room? I don't want to do that to her. Okay, so anyway. I'm going to have to put her in the other room if she doesn't cut it out. Okay, I'm going to try to just go through it. All right. That restaurants and businesses, the minute I start talking, she starts talking. The businesses that have found a way to make it work, that's what Tim Gunn said. I was on the depression. See how easy I get off track? The depression cooking. There are wonderful things where people learn to eat wisely and eat healthy cheaply. It can be done. You can eat wholesome, healthy foods at a very reasonable price with not that much work. I'm thinking after we're done with this, maybe I'm still going to, she's trying to tell me it's time to go to bed. No, she did not find a friend. There's no more mousy friends for Kitty in this house anymore. I think she got the last one. Thank you for your input, Cheryl. Okay, I've had a mouse issue, but I believe we've got that taken care of. Okay, back to the depression cooking. The times were tough, and people learned how to make do. And then we got more and more spoiled, and we started increasing more expensive foods that necessarily weren't even the healthiest thing to eat. The amount of meat that we eat, not me because I'm a vegetarian, but the amount of meat that the average person eats is far beyond what a person should eat. So, make it work. We're going to learn how to make it work. So maybe I'll do a cooking thing later and help people learn how to make it work. All right, I'll bring you over here if you behave yourself and you're nice and quiet and sit with me. Now, a great source of enlightenment for me is movies. I love the movies. You know that. And as I watch a movie, what I love about it is most movies, most good movies, are not just about sex and violence and romance, which romance is right in the right prediction, but when it feeds you magical thinking, no, that's not a good movie. But let's talk about Close Encounters of the Third Kind. I don't know if you saw the movie, but it had to do with people who had a close encounter with an alien spaceship, whatever. It kind of crossed over. They just saw something in the sky. And in that movement, they were all changed. They started to have reactions. It's like a seed was planted in their mind. And they started to crave this place. And they started to seek it. And they would make paintings or draw pictures or make clay. And the lead in the show, the main character, would throw dirt into his house. Of course, his wife kicked him out. She thought he was nuts. But he's trying to make this place. And the place they were looking for was where the aliens wanted to call the people to go with them to create a higher civilization. At least that's what I got out of it. And Richard Dreyfuss, that's right, I love that guy. And so, but this is it. Look at it that what is alien to many people, which is unknown to many people, is the thought that we are powerful spiritual beings, mighty to attract our good, mighty to do powerful things. That we are here to do that. Let's not let it be alien. Let it be. And it's, again, we don't want to look for any alien beings to come save us. We want to come to know God, the one presence and one power in the universe. That doesn't mean he's like in a heaven that's hanging over earth. Universal. Universal is an overarching spirit that is both transcendent, which is greater than us, and yet immanent, living within us. And because we are one with this great presence, we therefore have the nature, it's in us, we embody the nature of God. All we have to do is start working on it. And I'm working on it, and I'm going to tell you folks, that's why I'm so committed to it, and that's why I share it with you. Within each of us is a vision that we call the kingdom of heaven, or home. It's a vision, a place of all good, peace, security, and plenty. We go through our lives trying to find or create it. We cannot manifest this vision with money and power alone. Money and power, guided by spirit, can do great things. You know, I had a cross one time, and I used to wear that cross all the time. It was an empty cross. And some people in Unity even, who came from backgrounds where they suffered like a religious abuse, or they were forced into a religion they didn't really buy, and they rejected a lot of it. And so I would be asked sometimes in school by people who had those issues, why are you wearing a cross? You know, we're supposed to be free. Why are you wearing a cross? And I said, I wear this cross because it is an empty cross. It symbolizes resurrection, overcoming, and eternal life. But I also have, right in my window over there, a crucifix. And a crucifix reminds me that Jesus showed us we can overcome all things. What did he overcome? He overcame what one would call in traditional churches the flesh, or what we would call the lower part, to rise above it. And he healed, and he rose from the dead, and he taught people these things, and he said, these things that I do, and even greater things shall you do if you believe. Cheryl says we can't be Christians without Jesus. And, well, that's true. At the same time, there are many people who call themselves Christians that don't really worship, which means give worth to, Jesus. So, how do you like that? Only 2 minutes over. Ta-da! I think I get a gold star. We're going to start tomorrow on page 136 with the creative process. So we're going to take a little bit of a deeper look. So kind of ideas I was giving you, you will be able to take a step further. Oh, it's not going to be tomorrow. It's going to be Monday, because today's Friday, and I am going to have some rest, relaxation, and time with God. And I hope you have a peaceful and happy weekend as well. And God bless you good. Keep your mind up. Keep your mind up. When you have your fill of the minute you say, I don't like that news, up you go. Lift up your consciousness. God is in charge. And also remember, if you're feeling like a victim of this whole thing, remember, for this you have come. For this you have been born. For this you are here, to be a part of the solution and not a part of the problem. No matter what, I trust God. As for me and my house, we shall serve the Lord. We shall serve spiritual principle, that which is all good. Have a good night.